Let's take you to the Eastern Cape, where the Nelson Mandela Museum and the Eastern Cape Provincial Department of Sports, Recreation, Arts and Culture are commemorating the 10th year anniversary of Madiba's passing. The Mandela family says the struggle icon's burial place will be open for public viewing once a proper structure has been constructed. Newzroom Afrika Siphosethu Booi is standing by to give us more detail at this hour. Good afternoon, Siphosethu.
Good afternoon to you, to the rest of our viewers. And of course, like you correctly stated, the takeoff from today's event was the issue of the burial site of Udada. And of course, many questions around when the public can be allowed to actually go view where Udada has been laid to rest. And the family just saying that when a proper structure has been constructed, those conversations currently as a family, they're still ongoing, as well as government. When the time is right and a proper structure has been, formulated, those access information to the public on when and how they can go and view the burial site of Udada will be made known. But I'm joined now by Inkosi Mkhanyiseli Dudumayo. A very important conversation that we are having today here, Dada. Thank you very much for making time to speak to us. But, the significance of today is quite different to the rest of the world as they view today. But to the people of the King Sabata Dalindyebo municipality, the local municipality, please speak to us about today's significance.
Thank you, Madam. Indeed, it's one of the important days in the history of Abatembu as we are commemorating and preserving the life and the values of Udada Mandela today. But in reality, we will be ignorant or lying if we are saying we don't see the progress that has been made in terms of the values of Udada Nelson Mandela in terms of accessing services and other activities. As we had engaged earlier on the issue of the crime, which becomes a threat, but the crime, it's covered when it comes to the Constitution, because the state put a clear legislation that the people of our country must sit in an environment where it is safe and there is a peace and stability within the society. But in reality, the criminals' tactics or the criminal tactics on the ground are managing the systems that are put in place. But in reality, we can say if government can strengthen the laws in terms of the movement of assets, and then also the people that have an access to weapons, because we ask ourselves as Amakosi that who is supplying these criminals with the powerful ammunitions and weapons. In reality, if there are no controls on the road on who is carrying what kind of firearm, what kind of weapon, in reality our people will fall victims of the criminals on the road. Very embarrassing in one of the wards in King Sabata Dalindyebo, not necessarily Mqhekezweni as popular known. When you go into Ward 27, there was a robbery in a radius of 500 meters from the police station, and then the police officers failed to go and perform what is expected from them to safeguard the citizens of our country. Also, if you go on the issue that is known as an issue that is an attack to women and children, in reality the crime, it's not focused only on those two sectors of human beings. In reality, is that even if there is a man in the house, when criminals came and armed enough, they go and do whatever they want to do in the presence of a male figure in that particular family. So it is very important for the state to strengthen and regulate who to carry the weapons, who must have access, who can travel with firearms, and also regulate, because the part of the stock theft part, it must be regulated, the movement of the livestock within one village to another village, because if there are no controls and the human personnel that will monitor such a movement of assets, it means the crime will always go up each and every time, because when you look into those reasons, the issue of the stock theft, people are free to go and do whatever into somebody's else, into someone's crawl. So in reality, if we don't tighten the laws, amend where we see that there are gaps in terms of the legislation, because we have a responsibility of formulating laws in the country as communities and the administration that is there, and also the lawmakers, which is the parliament or legislatures, whom are entrusted with the function of formulating the laws. But if we speak with one voice, I believe that we can also defeat these challenges that we are faced with in this time when we are commemorating the 10th anniversary of the late Nkosi Umandela.
Just also speaking of that, there's also the issue of youth unemployment. Many of these young people come from disadvantaged backgrounds, different villages, you name Vers, or you name it. Now there's also, this issue of NSFAS and the funding issue for these young learners who will be going to school next year. What is it that still needs to be done as far as solutions in trying to combat this issue of unemployment, in specific in our province?
In reality, if in any state there are no clear programs or activities that are to address the issues of unemployment, it means there is a problem, because we should invest a lot on manufacturing space, because the role of the government is not to create job opportunities. The role of the government is to create a conducive environment for private and public to be able to a conducive environment to be able to run their own businesses freely, so that the employment creation, it's on the private sector most of the time. And then you will understand in the state, which is government, there is organograms that we all know. In those organograms, it's clear that the government has a capacity, is regulated, that they mustn't exceed a certain number in terms of the employment creation in their own space. But we need to tap into the space of agricultural sector. The agricultural sector must create opportunities, and also the tourism sector must also assist in creating job opportunities, trade and investment. The investors must come in numbers, but we need to address the challenge of the instability or crime within the areas, because there are no investors that will come and invest in a space where they are not too sure whether how safe they are in terms of their businesses. So it is important that we work collectively. Thank you.
Just speaking to us about just some of the measures that the Eastern Cape government still needs to take, as far as addressing the issue of stock theft, rape, as far as the gender-based violence, crime, as well as the statistics are concerned in this particular area, especially in the villages. It's quite disturbing where you hear and read of stories of women being attacked in their homes, but most importantly, the issue of unemployment in this particular province of the Eastern Cape. It's back to you in studio.
Thank you very much, Siphosethu Booi, for that comprehensive report.